Hello, this is Dr. Evelyn Hill with Shades in Justice podcast. Hey, we're so excited you decided to stop by. Hey, you can catch us every Wednesday evening, 8:30 Central Standard Time or 9:30 Eastern Time. We want to see you right here at Positive Power Christian Radio. Again, this is Dr. Evelyn Hill with Shades and Justice podcast, a chance where you can hear about justice and injustices here in our country. Again, Dr. Evelyn Hill with Shades in Justice podcast. Hello and welcome to Shades in Justice podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Evelyn Hill, and we are super excited you are here with us. We have with us on tonight a very special guest, and her name is Mrs. Patrice Townsend. And I'm going to allow her to share a little bit about herself. And again, welcome to Shades and Justice podcast. I want you to remember you can always catch us at www.drevelynhill.net. Welcome, Miss Patrice Townsend.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hill. I appreciate that wonderful intro. Thank you for having me this evening. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised Kansas City, Kansas, Wyandotte County. Been here all my life, never left. I grew up in the Northeast End, graduated from Sumner High School in 1978, and we were the last class of Sumner High School. After that, Sumner Academy was formed 2 years later. So I'm proud to know that I was part of the original Sumner High School.
Yes.
Also, I've been a public servant here in Wyandotte County for nearly just 2 weeks shy of 40 years.
Wow.
So it's been a pleasure being here, working in the community, meeting a lot of people, and just doing what I can to assist with the community. So, community in which I live. So,
and I want to applaud you because I've just known you over the years. Every time we had anything going on with the Chamber of Commerce, you were not just an attendee; you was on stage for years, and we had some really prestigious individuals that would be a part of the celebration with the Chambers of Commerce, and you would be right there with them. Remember the Speedway people were here, a lot of those execs, and a lot of other folks just down through the years that are well known throughout, not just Kansas City area, but in the country. And so there you were. You was always up front on stage. So I always said when I grow up, I kind of
that is a very high compliment. And I was just one of those people that they would say, hey, we can't get anybody else to do it. Patrice, come on down. So,
and you would go and you represented well. Congratulations. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, you are so welcome. Well, I want to focus on the year 2020. That was the year of the pandemic. Yep. That was an eye-opening year. Yes. That's when the chamber shut down, your job shut down, my job shut down. Only thing rolling was some of the grocery stores.
Right.
The cleaners were shut down. We could get gas. But I'm just telling you, it was a real scary time. It was like nobody was out on the streets hardly, not too many driving.
Right.
But we had all of this violence in
Mhm.
communities across the country. And it was an opportunity to show America who we really are, which was not pleasant.
Mm-mm.
So I want to just start there. What are some of the events you remember from the year 2020?
Well, of course, the pandemic, which was
Yes.
March of
Yes.
2020,
Mm-hmm.
um, just how the world was just captured by a disease no
Mm-hmm.
one knew a lot about, uh,
Wow.
what to do with it, or even
Mm-hmm.
how to react.
Right.
So, I'm in the utility industry, and we were considered, you know, a company that needed to stay open and to
Yes.
continue to provide um, our services to our community. But it
Mm-hmm.
was a scary time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we weren't sure, even as employees, what was going on and what we needed to do, but we had to show up to work.
Mm-hmm.
I think during that time, my department was only out of the office 3 weeks. And after that, we were back in the office. And I think it
Wow.
was only because one of the first cases was in the building that I was working in and on the same floor where I
Mm.
worked. So
Mm-hmm.
it was just scary, uh, just not knowing
Mm-hmm.
what to expect and what was going to happen. And there were a lot of personal things that my family was affected by from COVID and the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other than that, I mean, it was just like there were killings, police killing of Black people,
Mm-hmm.
young
Mm-hmm.
Black people.
Mm-hmm.
Just um, the outrage of
Mm-hmm.
what was happening behind these killings.
Mm-hmm.
So those are a few things that I remember from 2020. It's just, I mean, I'm sure there were a lot other, but there was like maybe three major killings
Mm-hmm.
during 2020
Mm-hmm.
that was brought a lot of focus
Mm-hmm.
in the world about what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of what I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, and you hit it right on the head. I want to share real quickly a scripture, and then we're going to get right back into that, what we saw in the year 2020. And
Mhm.
this is Micah 6 and 8. And he has shown thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. So that's Micah 6 and 8. And that part about it's required of God, but to do justly. And what we saw on national TV, really international TV, was injustice.
Right.
The
Correct.
arrogance of a police officer on a man's neck with his arms and fists on his
Right.
waist as like he's Superman or something,
Hmm.
and killing George Floyd.
Yeah.
And I want to make this clear. I am not one that's taken up for George Floyd as far as any discrepancies or things that he was doing that was not legal or right.
Right.
I'm not taken up for him in that arena. If you stole, if you did something wrong, there is a price you have to pay for
Hmm.
doing that. Not just for him, for all of us. And so that
Hmm.
is not my point. My point is when it came to the police officer killing him when he's begging and telling
Right.
the man, I cannot
Right.
breathe. It just and uh it for it not to matter to the police
Hmm.
officer that he's taken a life. It didn't matter
Right.
to him. Even after George Floyd began to call for his mother and released bodily fluids on the ground, even after all of that, uh, the ex-police officer just continued to stay there. And then, of course, it was the other ones on the other end of his body also.
Right.
But I was so traumatized by that. And they showed it over and over and over again on the
I know.
news
Right.
until I could not watch it anymore.
Mm-mm.
I just could not do it. And
No.
anything you want to say about that case?
Well, it was just I think the fact that it was captured on
Hmm.
video, uh,
Yes,
you know, up until then, I don't think really people understood when um specifically blacks would talk about
hmm,
racial injustice
right.
and police injustice and
Hmm.
but to see it and to witness it
Hmm.
and to watch it all day long for
Yeah,
several days
yeah.
and to actually get to realize and like the detail that you went through to
Hmm.
see those things and to understand that that was real. It
Yes.
wasn't a movie, it
No,
wasn't made up, it
right.
was real.
Yeah.
And it was eye-opening for not just us as a race, but for the
Hmm.
whole country. I mean, you had all kind of celebrities and people
Yes.
coming out.
Yeah.
You had other countries
That's right.
protesting.
Hmm.
Uh, it was just, it was just an eye opener for
Yeah.
everyone to finally
Hmm.
see what
Hmm.
we have been claiming for years.
Years. Yes.
And
Yes.
I just think if it hadn't been for that video, it
Right.
would have just been another case of just
Exactly.
a killing of a black person.
Hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
But the fact that you got to see it and
Hmm.
witness, and it
Hmm.
was in your face every day, all day
Every
long.
day. Yes. That's so
And
true.
the reaction of the people and the protests and people coming out
Hmm.
just saying, this is wrong.
Right.
What's
Yes.
happening here? What is going on?
Hmm.
And it brought people together. I mean,
Yes.
it was a sad thing,
Hmm.
but the fact that people, mobilize together, protest,
Hmm.
hey, this
Hmm.
can't happen. What's going on here? I mean,
Exactly.
that is probably one of the good things that could have come out of something so
Hmm.
tragic.
Yeah.
So, just is I just still can't even believe,
Yeah.
I saw and
Yeah.
everyone else got to see.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was
It was
nothing nothing you can imagine.
right. Absolutely. And
So,
then I hated at the end of that, uh, at first, the Black Lives Matter
mhm,
movement, that brought a lot of discord because don't the Blue Lives Matter being the police
right,
officers and doesn't
right,
everybody matter?
right.
And so we understood all of that, but the focus, I believe, for that initial push for Black Lives Matter is that too many Black lives are being killed as though they don't matter.
Exactly.
And so this was just uh, that original organization. That was the focus, was stop killing Black
Right,
people,
right.
stop killing us. And then it became something else, and the Black Lives Matter organization
Mhm.
became something else. And one lady said, well, have you read their website lately? And I went back and read it, and I go, well, that's not what I meant when I said Black Lives
Right,
Matter. So
right.
it really evolved into something else. But thank you for just going down memory lane a little bit, because when I think of all the protesters that went out, I saw young, I saw old, I
Mhm.
saw really young,
Right.
I saw those with weapons, and
Mhm.
then I saw those without weapons. I saw a lot with backpacks. I saw females and males. I saw the LGBTQ community. I
Mhm.
mean, I saw white, black,
Right.
natives. I've just
And the other
Hispanic.
countries. I
and
mean, the
other
other
countries
countries
around the world.
were
You're
right,
absolutely correct.
right, and
London and
mhm,
Australia. It was incredible. We're
right,
all on lockdown. Now get this. We're all on lockdown.
hmm,
All we have to do all day is watch something on news or what's coming on your phone.
right,
But everywhere that tape was showing the
everywhere.
injustice right here in America. And I'm grateful for it. It's like God is it was saying, okay, I'm gonna open everybody's eyes around the world. And that's just what happened. He just opened our eyes. And then after our eyes were opened, what did we do afterward? So we started looting. And that's never the answer.
Mm-mm.
And remember there was burning
Oh yeah,
businesses and
yep.
everything around the
Kind of made
country.
me think about Ferguson a little bit. You
Yes,
know how and see those type of things take away
yes,
from the cause or what's actually
exactly.
happening.
Yes,
And but I know it's out of anger, it's out of
yes,
frustration,
mm-hmm,
it's out of people being tired of being
yes,
treated so unjustly.
right.
It's a way of people letting out, all
Mhm.
this built up frustration and anger for years.
Absolutely.
I don't condone it, but I
Right.
know where it's coming from.
Yeah,
Um, but you know, you can't really tell somebody else how they should react.
right,
You know, you would want them to do different because you don't want that to become the focus, and then
right,
the importance of what happened gets
right.
lost. You
Exactly.
So that's what
Exactly.
you don't want.
Right.
Uh, but it happens because people are mad and they're fed
That's
up
it.
and they're tired,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Exactly. And
Um,
I've heard people say, the young people are not going to take what the older people been taking all these years. So I've heard that too. And I
yeah,
totally understand. Even with the Martin Luther King movement, it was the young people that stepped out and marched with them. It
right.
wasn't those 50 and older necessarily. It
Hmm.
was a much younger crowd out there. So,
Yep.
and uh, I remember Watts in California when they were burning everything up and because of police brutality. You might be too young. You might not know nothing about that. But
I heard
uh,
about it though from
yeah,
my sisters and brothers. So,
yes, yes, that was ugly too.
mm,
So I know as we move forward, even here in Wyandotte County, we've had uh, some real challenges with, I must say, with the former police
mm,
uh, activity.
right,
And I'm going to specifically say 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was a lot of stuff happening,
right,
especially around injustices with people of color.
right.
And it got so bad, I won't mention any names, but a couple of police officers specifically were named to have had a pattern
Hmm.
of molesting, doing sexual assaults with girls and women of color,
Hmm.
which is so sad. And but we have seen some um, FBI and federal investigations finally going on now to get that case exposed and cleaned up. So I won't get into that a whole lot, but you and I know what I'm talking about. But those
Right.
injustices have been happening around the country. And like you said, except we saw that video over
Yeah.
and over again, we,
Mhm.
you know, people will still say, oh, no, y'all just making stuff up. No, this stuff is real. This is happening to our sons and our
Yes.
daughters. This is
Yep.
what's happening. Well, I'm going to go to another case. This is with Miss Brianna Taylor, and her
Yeah.
case was really, really sad.
Yeah, it really
Uh,
was. And
go
that
ahead.
bothers me so because I have a daughter around that age. So,
Yes.
you think about young people trying to live their lives,
Right.
trying to do the right thing. Um,
Hmm.
and then something just so awful
Yeah.
happen.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just and then the reaction of the public and some people, and it what upsets me is that when a black person is killed or shot or whatever,
Hmm.
they want to look into their past as, oh, well,
Yeah.
they were this and they did
Right.
that. They did
Hmm.
this. Well, that's still not, that doesn't justify
Exactly.
being killed. I
Right.
mean, it just doesn't. I'm
It
sorry.
really doesn't.
Um,
Mm-mm.
so let's quit trying to find ways to discount somebody's life and
Wow.
say,
Yes.
oh, well, he was a thief. He deserved it. Nah,
Yeah.
I
Mm-mm.
don't think so.
Right.
So, and that's some of the injustice, and
Hmm.
that's society putting things out there and making, instead of trying to be empathetic and get to the
Yes.
bottom of something and try to
Right.
understand something, you want
Hmm.
to try to justify it by saying, oh, well, they were a bad person. They did something bad.
Hmm.
That's that's not justice. You
No.
know, the fact that that young lady was in her house where she thought she was safe,
Safe.
not doing anything to
Right.
anybody, and seven police officers bust through and all these bullets flying, she's shot for
Hmm.
no warning, no nothing.
Nothing. No.
You know, who I mean, that's crazy. So that's
Yeah.
saying to myself, I'm not even safe in my own house.
Exactly.
You know, that
Hmm.
is insane.
Yeah.
And for people to think that there was nothing, well, or try to explain it away, come
Yeah.
on.
No. Mm-mm.
That's I just don't even understand that type of thinking. But you have so many people out there that were,
Hmm.
trying to find ways to say, well, that was justified. No, it was not.
Yeah, absolutely not.
It was not.
Hmm.
And just everything that occurred afterwards is just, I- it's, it makes people want to burn down the building. So I'm just saying, that's why people are so mad. That's why
Yes.
people
Yes.
are
Yes.
trying to make a point about how mad they are.
Yeah.
You know, um, it's just awful. I
It, it is. And thank you for sharing the part about you as a mom and you
Mhm.
have a daughter. And just think this young lady could have talked to her mom earlier that day, and then the next day her
Yeah,
daughter is dead, not from natural causes,
mhm.
not from something happening outside of her home,
Right, right.
but
Yeah,
by police officers inside her home. And two things I want to highlight. It was a no knock warrant that they had,
there you
and they
go.
lied to get that.
Right.
And they really botched the whole thing up because the reason they were going to uh, come in and do a warrant for arrest or whatever was because her ex boyfriend was a drug dealer. Now, notice I said her ex
Yes.
boyfriend, and he wasn't even in nowhere near there at that time. Matter of fact, she had her new boyfriend, and he was there that night, and he actually shot one of the police officers because he didn't know. He thought it was a robber coming in. He didn't know.
Right.
Which, oh my gosh, that whole thing is just so crazy. So one of the things I investigated here in our hometown was how is our police department with the no knock warrant? And I'm glad to report that we have eliminated the no knock warrant. So that is not what we do. There are special cases, I
Right.
understand, but supposedly it won't be a botched
Mm-mm. Right.
event like this was with Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so this is just so sad to me. This was an up and coming young woman.
Hmm.
She had a good job. She was
Yes.
on a path to good things.
Right.
And so for her life to be ended by the law enforcers is so sad. And then on
Mhm.
the other side of that, the police officers were never indicted, arrested, nothing. They all got off free. They just could not, for some reason, consider this a crime. I think at one point they had paid leave, so that meant in my mind that's a vacation.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. They didn't lose anything. They just got to
no,
go home and still get paid.
yeah,
To
and
go to
then
work.
the mother and the rest of the family, on the
Yeah.
other hand, is just in survival mode, just trying to understand how could this happen in
Hmm.
their
And they
family.
wanted justice for their daughter,
Absolutely,
and they never
absolutely,
got it.
never got it. Absolutely. So
Mm.
these are the kind of things that Shades and Justice brings out. Uh, and so we as a community, we must continue to speak out about these things and just cover our families and our
Right.
communities to make sure our police departments are doing the right thing. And I hear people say all the time, one bad apple spoils the whole cart, and that's sad, but often that is the case. So we're hoping. I know I've talked to our police department here.
Yes.
The leadership said that they have uh, definitely uh, gotten rid of some folks they had to get rid of, and then others have left voluntarily. So they're trying to pull in new blood
Right.
that's got the right attitude going out into the field. So,
And
uh,
I believe that, and just in my community involvement and attending a lot of community events, the police presence is
uh-huh,
just very notable and appreciated in that
yeah,
they're in the communities. I don't care where I am, if I'm in the Northeast End, if
yeah,
I'm midtown or out west at an
right.
event, the police presence, and
Mm-hmm,
they're communicating and they're talking to the
mm-hmm,
community. They're in the schools,
yeah,
working with the kids, and
mm-hmm,
they're out there trying to let people know, hey, that might have happened there and those were those people, but here we're going to
right.
make a difference. We're
Yeah,
trying to let people know that
mm-hmm,
we're not those people, we're not those
right.
cops.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I appreciate that, and I
Mm-hmm,
appreciate how they show up. They show up for the community.
mm-hmm,
They do a lot of events in the community
mm-hmm,
for the young people and for seniors, and I appreciate that
mm-hmm,
about our Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas police officers and sheriffs.
mm-hmm,
Um, but having that presence and knowing that they're listening and they're trying to make a difference make me feel better about our community and
mm-hmm,
what we're doing. And I just think that those are the kind of things that are going to have to continue to happen,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
not just now in the moment, but it
Right.
has to continue to go, and
Mm-hmm.
community has to come to the table too. We have to
Mm-hmm.
all come to the table.
That's right.
And
That's
and
right.
it's one thing, you hear people complain and talk about this, and and I have this way, and I say, well, what did you do about it? And so, you know,
Uh-oh.
I, yeah, I'll ask you,
That's
and
good.
what did
Mm-hmm.
you do about it? Did you
Mm-hmm.
vote? Did you go? you
All
know,
right now, exactly.
did you go to the forum and make a point? I mean, what did you do? Did you send a letter to
Mm-hmm.
your congressman? What did you do?
See?
So,
Good.
it's one thing to talk about something, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to get to the right people or the right forum and let
Mm-hmm.
let your voice be heard. if you
Yes.
really want change, you got to let your voice be heard. You got to do things and take steps that's going to make
Mm-hmm.
a difference, that's going to
Mm-hmm.
influence the decisions and the things that are happening. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so proud of you. You ran for the commissioner.
Oh
We got a
my.
vote.
Okay.
We got a voice. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
important. We need
Yes.
voices like yours, in the office, and you know, the ones that are making decisions, the ones that are making the laws. You got
Mm-hmm.
to do local, then you got to go
Yes.
statewide, and then you got
Yes.
to go
Yes.
to federal government. We
Well,
need
yes.
people at the
Yes.
very top
Yes, we
making
do.
these decisions,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're not, and you got to vote,
Yes.
vote. So it's gonna
Absolutely.
take more than just sitting up complaining. I don't want to hear no complaints. I want to know what you're doing.
That's right. That's it. Well,
Yeah.
I that's what I love about you in the first place. That's why I was really glad we got to chat today, is because I know you will speak up, and I definitely appreciate that about you. I got one more case,
Okay.
and we're going to talk about Ahmaud Arbery, and
Yeah.
this was the case: a young black man running kind of in a, I'll say, quote unquote, uh, area
Hmm.
that maybe was not maybe did not have a large populations of young males of color.
Right.
And at first, we heard on the news that the young man was shot and killed because he was stealing something. Then they went back, looked at the tapes. He was not stealing anything. He walked in there, he looked around, and then continued jogging.
Yeah.
We have a retired sheriff and his son who is doing what they called a citizen's arrest, which, of course, was not at all what they
Oh,
were doing.
nope.
Comments on that?
Thank God for the tape and the video.
Yeah,
That's all I can say. I see, if
that's
it
right.
hadn't been for that, we still be
Mhm.
going around on this one.
See,
Um, and the thing about it is, I mean, okay, go ahead, video, get it on tape, but
yeah,
can you call 911 too?
exactly.
I
Yes,
come on now,
that's
make
right.
that call, keep the
Yes.
camera rolling, but make a
Hmm.
call. You
Right.
know, I can't even talk about that. That was just the whole thing, the way it was done. I mean, I don't even think the information came out right away
It didn't.
about
It
what
didn't.
happened.
Right.
Uh, you
Right.
know, that police force was not transparent at all. They
No.
did everything they
Mm-mm.
could to cover it up,
That's
because
right.
probably a friend of a friend or somebody's friend,
Yes.
or uncle or cousin or something.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Mm-hmm.
want to cover it up first. And so then, earlier when I said they always want to find something negative about the
Exactly.
person that died,
Uh-huh.
even in death, you can't even get justice. You can't
No.
get justice in death,
No.
because
Right.
if you die and you're killed or whatever, they're gonna say, well,
Mm-hmm.
let's look through his history and dig up all the bad dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Come on
Mm-hmm.
now. So
Right.
initially, oh well, he was stealing and so he got shot.
Right.
Uh, okay.
Oh, that is so very, very true. Yeah.
I, I don't, so we're gonna justify him being shot by a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of racists, sorry.
Right. Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
but he was stealing. Uh,
No,
help me understand. But he wasn't stealing.
he
Okay.
wasn't.
And if the video hadn't come out,
Mm-hmm.
and then the person this video was like, oh well, I was just following them to see what was happening. Well, could you have called 911? I
Exactly.
just got to go back to that. I don't mind you videoing it and get
Mm-hmm.
the man some help. What are you doing?
Right. It's so sad. When I read more about this case, this was a retired sheriff and his son,
Yeah.
and they were making a citizen's arrest. And I love the prosecutor, and I kind of watched the trial because the prosecutor spelled out what a citizen's arrest
Oh,
looks
right.
like.
Okay.
And it had nothing to do with a young black man jogging down the street doing nothing
Nothing.
wrong.
Nothing.
And so I love the way the prosecutors just took each bullet point and explained it. And at the end of all of the deliberations and all the testimonies, they were all put in jail, including the guy that didn't call 911 but was doing all the video shooting.
Yeah,
All
wow.
of them. So that was one case
Yeah,
out of the three we've talked about. That's one case where justice really looked like it was done. And then even with George Floyd, it took them a while to actually get to the point where this guy was put on trial.
right.
He had vacation time and they let him, he paid bail and uh, very interesting. I just know if it had been someone else that did not have his skin color, that I don't think they would have enjoyed the liberty that he
Mm-mm.
did enjoy before
Mm-mm.
actually going to trial.
Right.
So, man, this is some tough stuff. All of that in 2020.
Right.
All of that in 2020. And we've had more things to happen since then. I think it might have been this year when here in Kansas City, we had in the Kansas City metro area, we had a young boy about 16, 17 years old that went to the wrong house
Ah.
and was shot in the head just because he knocked on the door. But he knocked on the door very late at night
Mm.
at the wrong address, thinking he was picking up his brother and sister. And by the grace of God, that young man did live. Uh,
Yeah, somebody knocking on the door and the person just shoots through the door.
yeah, that's a
I,
little different. You
I,
could have warned them or said, I'm going to shoot in 3 minutes or 3 seconds if you don't get away from my door.
okay, I don't understand. Why can't you pick up the phone and call 911? I don't get it. You're in your house. You're by your
Okay.
phone. The person's
Yes.
on the other side of the door. Call
Yes.
911.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
Instead of just shooting. Mm-hmm.
Hey, who's there? Matter of fact, don't say nothing. Just, you know, you get
Just
people
dial
that,
911.
you know, you get people coming to your door and you don't know. I don't answer. I'm
That's
sorry.
right. Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
shoot you. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna call
no,
the
I'm
police.
not gonna answer.
I'm
You
just
never
not
know.
gonna
It's
answer.
gonna look like ain't nobody home at my house. It really
And then
is.
I'm just gonna wait and see how long you stand there. And depending on how long you stand there, then I'm
Be
gonna be calling
called.
911.
Exactly.
I'm not
Exactly.
shooting through the door unless you shoot
Right.
first
Right. Yeah.
or try to come in or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But
Right.
you just shoot and don't ask no questions and
Mm-hmm.
don't take any alternative
Mm-hmm.
uh calling 911. I
Yes.
come on, people.
Exactly. One
911.
exactly. One more thing before we go. We've talked about the problems. What's the solution? That's the one thing I love about you in our conversation earlier today. You had a possible solution. How can we improve America and get her back to being civil again? What can we do?
Uh well, I can't say things now because I'm being recorded and I'm no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. What I suggested earlier is kind of what I've learned from being around my daughter,
Yeah.
29 in her generation.
Uh-huh.
I say she's a millennial, but it's kind of, I don't know. They change, they got different
Mm-hmm.
names or whatever. But in my mind, she's a millennial. But
Uh-huh.
just in her conversation, in her dealings, and her life and her social life,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just watching how they seem to have more empathy, more
Mm-hmm.
understanding,
Mm-hmm.
more acceptance of
Yes.
others. that don't look
Mhm.
like them or whatever.
Right. Mhm.
Um, and they tend to try to talk,
Mhm.
resolve issues, uh, and even in our conversations, I may say something and she'll say, well, don't really know what people are thinking or what people are
Mm.
or why people think like that or that.
Mhm.
She rather than just draw a blank statement and just stick with it, she's
Mhm.
more of let's find out, let's talk. Let's find
Mhm.
out what's going on or what's happening. And I
Mhm.
just see that that generation is more about trying to communicate and
Mhm.
resolve
Mhm.
issues as opposed to, you know, not caring and just doing what they want to do.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and it's it's eye opening for me because of difference of 30 some years. So
Mhm.
so the generation I came up in is a lot
Mhm.
different from her generation.
Mhm.
Um, I just see a group of young people that are really they got good heads on their shoulders
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they're trying to get people to come to the table and do things. Let's talk.
Mhm.
Let's
Mhm.
make this happen. They just they're not interested in
Mhm.
all the racism and the fighting
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
just the hatred. They're
Right.
just not interested in
Yes.
that being their life.
Right. Right.
And I just feel that we need to bring more of them to the table.
Mhm.
Um, and they're already going, you have a lot of them, just like with all the shootings, and you have
Mhm.
a lot of young people getting into the political arena. Hey,
Yes.
we're going to
Yes.
try to attack this gun situation. So,
Right.
they are not waiting for somebody
Mm-mm.
to do stuff. They're
Right.
getting involved.
That's right.
They're
Good.
getting
Yes.
involved. They're
Mhm.
making a difference. They're
Mhm.
letting their voices be heard.
Mhm.
And I think that is going to take more of that. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, and you don't have to really tell them. They're doing it on their own.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I just think that us older people need to look at what take. Hey, let's do what they're
That's
doing.
right.
Let's do
That's
what
right.
they're doing.
Yeah. Get to the
And
table. Be more open.
yeah,
Let's quit polarizing ourselves and our
right.
ideas. Allow other people to speak. You might find that you like some of the other ideas that are different from
Mhm.
yours. You just might see that these are things that could work. And so
Yeah, and,
that's
and
what
find out why
I
do people
agree.
think that way. Well, I don't
Yeah,
like so and so. Why? Why don't you like so and
exactly.
so? Have
Yeah.
you ever had so and so? That's just like
Uh-huh.
somebody saying, "Well, I don't eat that." Why don't you eat it? Have you ever? Well, no, I've never had it. Well, how do you know you don't like it? I mean, so it's like,
Exactly. Exactly.
you know.
I agree.
So we have to quit. We got to communicate. You got to communicate and try to understand.
Hmm.
We're not going to always agree,
Right.
but it's a difference if you make an attempt to try to
Uh-huh.
understand
Hmm.
rather than just saying, well, whatever, I don't care, and keep it
Hmm.
moving. That
That's
we're not going to get anywhere like that.
right.
And
Right.
we're going to have to stop and, like I said, make a difference.
That's
Don't
right.
talk about it.
That's
Just
it.
do it.
Yes.
Uh, Vote.
Yes.
Run for offices. Uh, you know, Educate yourself on what's happening because sometimes in America they'll
Hmm.
tend to throw your attention off of what's
Right.
happening while
Yes.
they're doing this over here.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, well, we're going to throw this crumb over here.
Right.
Here, we're going to build this up and get
Hmm.
this together while
Right.
they over there trying to get those crumbs.
That's
So,
right.
people have to really be aware and pay attention to what's
Hmm.
happening and
Hmm.
don't fall for the okey doke. That is so
Uh-oh.
true.
That
Don't
is
fall for
so
the okey
true.
doke.
Yes. Yes.
Find out the truth. Find out what's happening. And
Hmm.
just try to do the best you can to help solve an issue and quit talking
Yes.
about it. Because I get tired of people saying, well, I don't like so and so, so and so. Did you vote? Well, no, I didn't vote. Well, I don't want to hear it.
See,
I don't
very
want, don't.
good. Yes.
So,
That's the first way we come to the table is to
yep,
vote. That's the
yep.
first way.
And get other people to come to the table with
Yes.
you. You know,
Amen. Good.
we gotta join hands like Martin Luther
Hmm.
King and bring
Yes.
everybody along.
Right.
And you got to do
Absolutely.
it if you want to
Yeah.
make a change.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Miss Patrice Townsend, thank you so much. Wow, the time has gone by so fast. We have had a blast tonight going down
Yeah.
memory lane, the year of the pandemic,
Mm.
2020. Wow. And now we're almost in just a week or so away from 2024. So
Now
thank you
that I can't
again.
believe. I
Yes,
can't.
I know. Thank you again for being
All
my
right.
guest on tonight. And we would like for you to come back again, and I will be reaching out to you.
Well, you
But
better wait and see what kind of response you get before you invite me back.
oh, it's going to be a good response. I already know. Oh, yeah, everybody's going to love this one. It's going to be a good one.
Oh.
But to our radio audience and podcast audience, thank you again for being with us. This is Dr. Evelyn Hill with Shades Injustice podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Hey, thanks for being at our show on tonight. This is Dr. Evelyn Hill with Shades Injustice podcast. Another great evening to be alive. Hey, this is Positive Power Christian Radio. Dr. Evelyn Hill with Shades Injustice podcast. Hey, see you next time. You can meet me every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Standard Time or 9:30 Eastern Standard Time right here at Positive Power Christian Radio. See you next time. Bye.